Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a Bunny Kisses Slimline card featuring new products from the Simon Says Stamp Hello Beautiful release. So one of my favorite products from the release, and honestly there's so many because I really love this spring release, but is the new Bunny Blessings stamp and coordinating dies. This is a 6x8 stamp set, and we're going to use this set to build a really cute slimline scene. So while the elements from this obviously were designed with a slimline card in mind, since the trees are so nice and tall, you can also definitely just trim those down and create a traditional A2 sized card if that is what you prefer. So these are really versatile and cute. And probably one of my favorite things about this is, yes, if you want to use some of the Easter sentiments and the Easter eggs, it's definitely have that Easter vibe. And I did turn mine into an Easter card, but there's also a cutie little bunny blowing heart bubbles. He definitely, a love themed card would be darling with him. And you can use these bunnies without the Easter sentiments for more of just a springtime vibe type of card very easily. I am doing some more no-line coloring with the Tombow dual brush pens because I just can't get enough, apparently. I have kind of decided, I think my favorite medium for them is the Arches cold pressed paper, watercolor cardstock rather. And I stamped everything on this watercolor cardstock with Lawn Fawn Jellyfish no-line coloring ink. And I am coloring them in with my Tombow markers. I have listed the marker colors across the top of my screen. I also have these listed out on my blog. So if you want a little bit more of a slow-mo type of version where you can find that information, you can find that there. If there is room in the description box here on YouTube, I will list those out here as well. I think I'm going to start doing that as space, if there's enough space. YouTube does limit how many characters you can have in the description box. And if a supply list gets rather long, sometimes I will opt out of leaving that kind of stuff in there. But I am going to try to leave that here this time, just kind of similar to my blog, for easy reference. I like to kind of trace out the shape, in this case, so the greenery at the top of the carrot, which I love that it's this huge carrot with a bunny hanging out of. I mean, I think he's so cute. I like to trace it with my darker color. That's going to be 195 light green. And then I'm blending out with a lighter color. That's going to be 173 willow green and 131 lemon lime. Now, I really like how this turned out, but I will tell you a little secret. I did color like parts of this. I think I get clear to maybe coloring the belly of the second bunny. And I actually let this sit overnight. I had started this one day and finished another. I let it sit overnight and I came back and I thought, what would happen if I took a super dark color and added additional shading? And it probably is one of my most favorite things ever. And allowing the markers to dry, you wouldn't have to wait overnight by any means, but that's kind of what happened here. But allowing the markers to dry and the cardstock to dry, I was able to layer on more color, and I'm going to do that even to the bunny to kind of add some more definition and stuff in. I am amazed at the transformation. So it's super cute right now, but just wait until we add some of those deeper and darker shading to these images. The bunny, or bunnies, both of them are going to be kind of a combination of the same colors. Saddle brown, light sand, baby pink, and carnation for insides of the ears and the noses. Now, I started kind of the same thing that I had done throughout, added in my dark color, blend out with the lighter color and everything like that. And I actually end up pulling a little water in. So the great thing about these is they are a water-based marker. You can use them for watercolor. And when I have larger images, I often will incorporate a little water. It helps smooth out rough edges, especially if I'm not getting the blending I want with my blender. So in this case, I'm just not loving how the blender's working. So we're just gonna add a little more color, and then I've got my water brush pen filled with water, and I'm just gonna blend this out. The bunny is gonna take a bit of work. I will tell you, I had to kind of go over him. I had to let him dry. I came back. I kept coming back to him until I got him the way I wanted him to look. The reason I'm saying that I think the watercolor cardstock is my favorite medium, and I haven't tried any other kind of watercolor cardstock, so that might make a difference. I'm using Arches Cold Press, but it's forgiving, meaning I'm not having pilling. I'm able to come back when the image is dry and layer color on top, which is really what I was looking for with this particular project. And we're just adding more color in. You'll notice I will skip back and forth between images quite a bit, and that is because I'm letting things dry before I come back, so that I'm hoping to eliminate any bleeding of one area into another, even if I'm not incorporating water. Sometimes like the oranges could bleed into the grass, or I could pick that up, or into the dirt there. And so I was just really, really aware of trying to not have any of that bleeding happen. Now the trees are a huge image. I am tracing them out with the chocolate marker. That's 969. And I do want to also tell you really quick, these markers only have the numbers, not the name on them. I had a question asking me how I know what the color name is. You can find it on the Tombow website, or if you have the packaging your markers came in, or anything like that. But I also found a download online. I simply did a Google search and I found a download that someone had made that has like a little swatch box, and then it has the marker number and the name, and I fill in the swatch with the marker that I have so that I know what markers I have, and it makes it really easy for reference. You'll notice I layered chocolate and saddle brown for the tree, and then I pulled the color out and colored the rest of the tree with a water brush pen. That was the quickest and easiest way I could find to get that color on the tree, so that I wasn't trying to color the whole thing in with markers. My bunny's face has dried, so I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of detail with a black fine tip pen, adding a little more water to somewhere. Let's go ahead and kind of come back over here while that water is drying and color in our second tree. You will notice as the tree is drying, so the detail in the tree trunk kind of bleeds or fades out. And while I love adding the water to color the image, I don't particularly love that we're losing some of that definition from tracing out those little areas. And I will show you here in a second what I did once the trees were completely dry. I'm going to take the bullet tip of my Tombow marker and just go back in and trace those back out. And I think by adding that detail back in to our tree trunks, it really, really is cute. I'm also going to tell you another little tip. Don't do what I did. So I stamped and colored these trees, and I found the one on the left is going to work by some miracle, but the one on the right is not. These are long, skinny, clear stamps. It means that they can kind of move. And if there's a coordinating die, it may not line up. And it did not line up at all. I did not get the stamp laid out the exact way it needs to die cut. And I'm going to show you a tip for that here in a second. I had, at this point, had not realized that had happened. I was so bummed because it meant I had to recolor the whole thing. And so I would highly, highly suggest die cutting your tree first, both of them, and then coloring them in. I will show you, if you don't want to try to color a little skinny die cut, my tip here in a minute will show you how I combated that. But I did leave the coloring in. The coloring is exactly the same on the finished tree piece. But we are going to have to restamp and die cut that. So there's the little belly of the bunny, and here's what I was talking about where I came back the next day. I've got my darker chocolate marker. I'm going in and adding a little detail. Like I felt like the bunny just needed a little additional shading. The inside of the ear needed a little something. And then we have got a nice dark marker, and I'm adding in little bits of shading, adding definition. Instantly, you can see the difference. I am just shocked and amazed at how awesome this looks. I am coloring right over areas I've already colored. I'm more just kind of adding little bits of shading in, and then I'll go in with a little bit lighter marker, blending that out. You could use a paintbrush and water, your water brush pen, whatever you want to do there. I just kind of use that lighter color to pull out the darker areas, just kind of naturally where there might be some darkness, like where the bunny's leaning over the leaf and things like that. And down near the base, it definitely gives each of those leaves more definition. Now, because I did that for the leaves on the carrot, I feel like the blades of grass are going to need that. The leaves on the tree are going to need that. We're going to add little touches of this everywhere. So still working on that same cute bunny image. We're just going to add in all of those little bits and pieces. I just added it kind of to the center of the leaves, and then we'll pull out that color with a little bit lighter marker. And I like that definition there as well. Let's work on the bunny, the second bunny, a little bit more. Back with our saddle brown, light sand, and sand markers. Just going to kind of trace out the bunny with my darkest marker. Add in a few little heavier areas, and then pull out those heavier areas with our mid-tone. And then blend out any harsh lines with that mid-tone marker. And then pull out even more with our lightest marker. Being a lot more generous with that. And then we're going to use the water brush pen to watercolor our bunny. And just like before, we're going to let that sit, let it completely dry, and then we'll come back to this guy and add in additional detailing. We're going to color in any remaining little images. I will tell you that there is an additional butterfly and 2 small eggs that I stamp a little bit later. This was one of those scenes where I tried to foresee what all I would want or what all I would need to fill this in. But as I got everything die cutted, I really saw a few little spots that needed something. And in this case, where it's a slimline, and basically most everything is happening on that bottom third of the card, I'm going to put my sentiment up near the top, but we need to pull some color up to the top, and a butterfly and then some little eggs tucked into the branches of the trees is going to be a great way to do that for this card design. Plus, we'll be stamping some of our sentiments in colorful inks as well, which will help. I did mess up the egg there in the center. You can see I re-stamped it and I'm coloring it opposite of what I just did. We're going to do the light color first so that we don't accidentally pull that teal into the lighter areas, which is what happened before. And then I decided I wanted it to be more yellow than teal. So we're just flip-flopping it. Most of the bunny is dry, or the bunny is dry, so we're just going to add some pink for the nose and the inside of the ear. And then we're just going to skip over here to the little blue butterfly, kind of tracing out the wings, using a couple of colors here. Some nice pin detail for the antennae, and then the body is going to be lamp black. I'm not exactly sure what, I think lamp black is like one shade down from black. I think they look pretty similar, but maybe it's just a little lighter. It looks really black here though. Just adding a little extra detail to our little mini flower. This is going to just be a nice little pop of color. Let's just cross out that egg we're not using. And then I'm going to add in the little dots on our aqua and yellow egg. This is sea blue and Alice blue. I kind of traced it out first and then added the color. Same colors as our butterfly. And then the bunny tail, we're just going to do a little bit lighter, kind of the same light colors we used for the belly of the bunny. So now we need to go back in and add some extra detail. I felt like some of that got blended out too much with the addition of the water. It's nice and dry now, so this is a great opportunity to add that extra detailing and shading that I really, really like so much on this project. And then we can go back with water, blend out any harsh lines. And then I did color in everything around the base of the second tree. So one tree kind of doesn't have anything down near the base, and this one has some little blades of grass and a rock. Again, even though I don't end up using this particular image because I made an error as far as getting the stamp straight to line up with the die, I wanted to show the coloring so you could see how I finished this off. Making sure to add in that darker color for the blades of grass so they have that depth and dimension, just like everything else that's green on the card. So I die cut everything, I think, except for the bunny, which I'm still working on. And this was about the time that I realized, oh no, the tree doesn't line up, which was a massive bummer. I can't even begin to tell you how disappointed I was. So let's just add the detail back in for the bunny. Let's die cut everything here. And then I'm going to just trim a really thin strip of the watercolor cardstock, and we're going to die cut the tree first, and then we're going to simply put a little post-it tape on the back to hold it in place in our MISTI, and we're going to take our stamp and line it up with the die cut piece. So see how easy it moves around. So it's really easy to make the mistake I made if you're just trying to stamp it correctly. In this case, it's going to line up perfectly since I've die cut it first. Just stamp it a couple times so I can see the outline. And then off camera, I'm going to recolor this because I really wanted to make this card. I was pretty mad, not gonna lie. I was so upset. This is the new Simon Says Stamp Chunky Slimline Scalloped Rectangle set. I'm using the largest rectangle from this new die collection, and then I'm using a Simon Says Stamp Slimline mask to create my background. So instead of having to add extra die cut pieces or stamping, we're just going to stencil a quick background and then pop our images in place. I did start with the Lake Shores Simon Says Stamp ink kind of around the edges. I was just going to give kind of a bluish outline, and I'll tell you that I wasn't like loving this particular color and idea. I'm not going to scrap my paper. I did kind of stick with this, so go me for staying with it, but I am going to switch to Audrey blue ink, and I'm going to grab a Lawn Fawn cloudy stencil, and I'm going to do one of my favorite things to do with a masking stencil, and that's keep the masking stencil in place, grab another stencil, and that is going to mask off the edges of the card and also allow you to stencil that inside area, in this case the long skinny rectangle. And we're going to create this beautiful cloudy sky all over. I also want to mention that I just got my order I placed for the Gina K Blending Tools caddy and brushes, and I don't know what it is, but I love her brushes. They are really soft and smooth. And the little round caddy, I had some different ones before, but they don't let the bottom of the brush slip out. Like, I would bump mine and they would pop out before. I just love that they coordinate. I bought two because I have one for oxide brushes and one for regular dye inks. These are my dye ink brushes. So that's just a little side note that I really like these blending brushes a lot. I think I got one in a Simon Says stamp card kit, and so I went and purchased some more because I really like them. Now, I did remove the mask, and then I was like, oh, it's not going to be a scene all up in the clouds. We need something down along the bottom edge to ground the image. So let's take our mask and line it back up. That's the other great thing about stencils. It's so stinking easy to do that. And we're just going to take a little Simon Says stamp Willow green ink and very lightly just put a little down here near the bottom to give the illusion of grass and landscape. The rest is going to be provided with the cute little scene that we're going to build here on our panel. And there is an instant scene background. So we're just kind of, I'm playing around with my images, kind of seeing how everything's going to look. I still need to finish color. You can see I need to finish coloring in the other tree. I was giving the water a chance to dry, but our bunnies are going to be touching noses. How cute is that? They're just so adorable. Look how great the tree fits a slimline style card. I know that the watercolor doesn't go all the way down near the base on this one, but we're actually going to flip-flop. This tree that I have over here on the right side is actually going to be the one that has the green down near the base, and the other one's going to be more hidden back behind, so you're not going to see that it's got that white space. So just kind of playing around, seeing what I like. I've colored the other tree in, the magic of video, and we are going to play around, figure out our placement, and start gluing it all in place. So I definitely like this a little better because we can hide that other tree. You can see that there's a lot, even though the trees go all the way to the top, there's a lot of open space up there. I'm going to lay out my butterfly trail, and we're going to stamp this on our background before we start adhering anything down. I ended up using some Audrey blue ink, the same ink color I used for the clouds instead of black, and I really like how that turned out. If I had been thinking before I assembled my card, because I really didn't realize it until I had assembled my card that I needed some extra images. I would have done one for the second butterfly as well, but I think it's okay the way it is. He's going to be kind of sitting up on the O in the die cut hello. We're just going to figure out our placement here for our second bunny and also our tree. Make sure, yep, that looks good. Let's glue these guys down with their little noses touching. And I kind of like the elements that are hanging off the edges of the card. The Simon Says Stamp slimline envelopes are a nice enough size that if your images are barely hanging off, kind of like the ear is here on the left side, it's still going to fit in the envelope. So I'm not going to worry about trimming that away. We're going to tuck Easter eggs down here around the bases of the trees. We're going to tuck the little flower. But you can really see this is a bottom heavy card. There's lots going on down here, but not so much up high. Even when you see the sentiments, there's not a ton going on up there. For our sentiments, we're using a die cut hello that comes with the scallop, the chunky scallop slimline die cut. So there's thank you and hello. And yes, there is. Thank you, hello, and a little heart. And several sizes of scallops. And then we're going to stamp phrases from the Bunny Blessings stamp set in different shades of ink that match our card. So Sending Love And was stamped with Simon Says Stamp Willow Green ink. Bunny Kisses is going to be stamped with Simon Says Stamp Clementine ink. It's a pretty orange. And then Hoppy Easter is going to be stamped with Teeny Bikini Simon Says Stamp ink. And then the hello is going to be die cut 3 times from smooth white cardstock. I'm going to ink up a little scrap though with some Audrey blue ink first before I die cut that final hello, so that the hello will be blue. That way each line of text in our sentiment, which you'll see here when I put it together, is going to have some sort of color to it that coordinates and complements the design. Each of these phrases then is going to be die cut with a sentiment labels die. I absolutely love these basic dies for die cutting perfect little sentiment strips. Here I'm just adding that Audrey blue ink. It looks really awful and messy, but it's going to be great, I promise. And then we're just going to die cut that super quick. Again, the magic of video, we cut out that part. We're going to pop out the hello, glue these one on top of another. They are super teeny tiny. I find holding them with some tweezers and adding glue works really great. I have a little fine tip applicator on my Ranger Multi-Matte Medium, which makes that work great. And then we can add our sentiments to our card. And they're all going to be kind of in the upper third. So the bunnies and carrots and things are all down in the bottom third. The hello and the sentiments are going to be in the upper third. And kind of here in the middle is going to be needing something. And you can see I laid out a butterfly and a couple of eggs in preparation, thinking, what can I do to balance out my card? The sentiments are all going to kind of straddle the tree up here at the top. And I purposely didn't put them in the center. I kind of like them offset a little bit. And I've put foam adhesive on each of my sentiment strips to adhere them to my background. I love these little foam adhesive strips. They are my very favorite. And then we're just going to kind of have these all not exactly lined up as well. I like them kind of just kind of staggered like this. And finishing with Hoppy Easter, and it's going to be down just a little further. I love that it says Hoppy Easter instead of Happy Easter. Just kind of a cute little touch. Let's stamp these last images. I did go ahead and just color them off camera using all colors that I have used throughout the design. You can find that information down below or over on my blog. And then we're going to tuck the eggs into the branches of the trees, almost like an Easter egg hunt type of situation. We've got our cute little butterfly sitting up on the O in hello. I really love that little pop of color up at the top of the card. It adds some movement, it adds some interest, helps your eye move throughout the design. So I have to say, one thing I was concerned about was, is this large chunky scallop going to work on a slimline card base? And the answer is yes. The scallops do hang off the edges of a standard A2 size card base that is 3.5 by 8.5 inches, but it does not bother me. I actually really liked how it turned out. I think it's really cute. It's soft, pretty, just a really fun Easter card. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed creating it. Please drop me a note. Let me know what other products from the Simon Says Stamp Hello Beautiful release you'd like to see me use in upcoming videos, and I will do my best to incorporate those into future projects. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this bunny themed Easter card featuring Simon Says Stamp Hello Beautiful products. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Hello Beautiful release product that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.